Well, hello and welcome to the Profit Express. I'm Tim Healy, and I'm inviting you to join me each and every Wednesday so you could be prepared to win the battle for business. Now, listen, I know you're out there. You're closing deals. You're making money. You're turning prospects into profits. So I have to make it worth your while. That's why I have on the kind of guest that you can listen, learn, and earn from. Today's guest, no exception, I can assure you. So again, thanks for sharing some of your time with me today, as always. Now, earlier this week, we celebrated International Women's Day. Now, if you're like me, you are on social, you're seeing all these posts of incredible women doing incredible things. And it got me thinking about a woman that I know, that I've had the pleasure of knowing now for over a decade. And she's the kind of woman who has this energy that's contagious. She can lighten and brighten any room that she walks into. And not just that, she's a gutsy entrepreneur who, as we're speaking right now, is pursuing one of her biggest dreams. And while she does that, each and every day, she helps the people that she comes in contact with. She encourages them to pursue their own dreams. Now, she came to me about a year ago. And as you know, the Profit Express is being recorded out of Drake Media Studios. And she came to me when I absolutely needed her the most. Thankfully, we had that relationship for over a decade because of COVID, the station that I recorded the show out of, it got shut down. So she's like, Tim, you need a new home. Come to Drake Media Studios. So today's guest is the owner herself, the founder herself, Donna Drake. And she's also an international award-winning, there's so many things, a creative. She's a writer. She's a producer. She's a TV host of the Donna Drake Show, which is 13 years. It's in all across the U.S. It's in 25 different countries. So she's somebody who I have immense respect for, and she's somebody who's winning the battle for business each and every day, and her story is going to inspire the heck out of you. So it's a pleasure to welcome back to the show Miss Donna Drake.
Thank you, Tim Healy of the Profit Express.
Thank you so much.
We are friends, and I've gotten to watch your career blossom over the years too, so it's lovely. And I thank you so sincerely for inviting me to be your guest.
Well, I'm glad that you actually felt confident enough to say we're friends, in a public forum like that. So, not everybody likes to admit that, so I appreciate, you saying that. Listen, you have this energy, you have this vibe about you. Anybody who knows you, and lots of people know you, tons of people know you, they know your energy. It's contagious, and I sincerely mean that. You lighten and brighten rooms. I've come into the studio, and you're getting ready for a production, or you're doing a commercial shoot for a client, and it's kind of helter-skelter in here, right? You're knee-deep into it, and I say hello, and you have this really unique ability that even though stuff is going on around you, you turn, you smile, and it's like I'm the only person in the room.
Oh, I thank you for that. I try my best, because I am a people person. I love people. I especially love you. When you come, I was like, Tim Haley.
I love it.
Exactly.
I love it.
Because the other stuff can kind of wait,
right,
like
the
moving
busy
a
stuff.
plant or something like that. That can wait. But the person, you got to hug that person.
Now, with your show, it's been on air for 13 years, and in one of the promos or a video you talked about the show, you're like, everybody has a story worth telling, and that's part of what you highlight on the show. So I want to talk about Donna's story, obviously, today. So what do you want to be when you grow up?
Me.
Okay, that's a good answer.
No, what happened, Tim, is I kind of knew early on, like I was in second grade. And at the time I was being bullied. And so in my head, I told myself then, someday people that are bullying me, you're going to wish you were nicer to me. Someday I'm going to be so famous, you're going to wish you were nicer to me now. And, silliness.
Right.
But I really did want to become famous. I didn't know what that meant then.
In second grade?
Yeah, in second grade.
Really?
And then Mrs. Binger was my music teacher, and she walked by my desk. It was like the second row, about 4 desks back, and Mrs. Binger said, Donna Marie, you have a beautiful singing voice, and I said, oh, thank you so much, and I probably said, and I'm going to be famous in my head, or maybe I said it out loud, I don't know.
Right.
But Mrs. Binger was really the first person that kind of like tapped me, like maybe saw something in me, like a sparkle or a shine or something, and I still
Right.
think back to that moment.
Right.
So I laugh because sometimes I still feel like I'm that girl in second grade in that
Yeah.
second row, 4 seats back. Like I'm still that person always looking over my shoulder, saying like,
yeah.
well, have I made it yet? Am I me yet? Or when do you become me? But I'm very satisfied right now. Like, that's what I mean. When I grow up, I want to be me. I'm satisfied. I'm in a good point. I just want more of the same.
Right.
And now that I've gotten to achieve a level of success that I feel comfortable with, I do want to share that with others. I have the tools and the techniques and the abilities to now shine a light on somebody and make their dreams come true. I say like I'm the fairy godmother for creatives, like, ding, like you get a show, you get a show, you get a show.
You've already we're just a couple minutes into it. You've already shared so much. So it was Mrs. Binger, was that it?
Yes.
All right, you're in second grade. It's funny how the name sticks with you. You got the visual, all of that. Third, fourth row.
She had like the beehive going on.
Oh yeah, rocking the beehive. So she hears the voice and she taps you on the shoulder. It just goes to show how encouragement, how it can be life-changing. Wow, what a beautiful voice you have. And then all of a sudden, wheels start to turn. So I said, what do you want to be when you grow up, Donna? And you said, I want to be me. And the reason I think that is such a powerful answer, especially today, especially social media and, kids, my son is about to be 13, can be so influenced by social media, and unfortunately in a negative way. And they see all these images of these rock stars, these influencers, and there can be a lot of negativity out there where they're trying to have these false hopes of, what's out there when it's really what they can be themselves. And the fact that you said, I want to be me when I grow up, that's powerful. I really like that.
I appreciate that. It's probably the first time I've answered it that way.
Okay.
So that, I guess I'm at the point now where like,
right.
like, I don't know. Here it is. So.
But but it's so important for people to embrace that. You forget about what everybody else is doing out there. It's embracing you. So, all right. So we're obviously right in Drake Media Studios, Melville, New York. And if you're in the Metro New York area, I'm sure you go beyond that. You got to go for a tour. I mean, let me just get that out there. The capabilities here are tremendous. So I'll say that. So let's kind of share the story of this, because I said you're a gutsy entrepreneur, and this is the Profit Express, and I've had a lot of great entrepreneurs on, which I consider you one of. Where did the story begin? This is a huge facility. It's a big undertaking. How did it start?
It started in 1997. So in 1997 to the year 2002, I worked in this building.
This very building.
This very
Right.
exact building. So at the time I was like the director of creative services or the head of promotions. I had a couple of titles when I worked here during those years. And I would come down here. This was the newsroom. So where we're physically sitting was actually the control room of WLNY TV. There were like big beta machines places and wires everywhere and, engineers on crazy headsets and
Right.
people walking by the window and, the news director coming in and, sometimes screaming at people and sometimes applauding people. But it was intense.
Right.
And I worked here as the promotions person, but I also really liked the people in the newsroom, which is the next room over, which is now our big, gigantic green room. And I would walk down from executive row. I'd come down here. I'd go into the audio booth. I'd do voiceovers. I would do commercials. I would go out with the sales team, and I'd say, hey, let's put a commercial on the TV 55 News at night.
Right.
And that all happened in the exact same footprint.
Wow.
That I'm currently in now. So, there've been a lot of twists and turns, but I mean, isn't that like serendipitous? It's magical in a weird, like
eerie in a good way.
Eerie
Yeah.
in a good way.
Yeah.
So this has almost been home. This is home for me. Like as if my journey was always supposed to end up with me here, physically
Right.
here. So after I left the studio to start my own company for many years, I had been at various different studios. And so how did me getting home happen? So during COVID, the studio I was renting from, they needed to rent out some of the space to someone else because a lot of people were making a lot of changes at the time and told me I could stay, but the amount of money they wanted to charge me for staying for a day each month, I thought was kind of a lot. So I
Didn't make sense,
It didn't
right.
really, it just didn't make business sense,
Sure,
right?
sure.
So I called over here to this same space, which at the time CBS had been renting However, this is how timing always works out. During COVID, Viacom bought CBS.
Right.
So CBS already had a facility out east on the island, making this space rentable and available.
Ah.
And I said, I'll be right there. So I ran over, and it looked terrible, like, because the carpet had been all threadbare and everything from like the newsroom. You could just imagine a newsroom.
Tattered, yeah.
Messy, just a mess.
Right.
Wires were all already pulled out and things. It was just messy. But because they knew me, I wrote a really nice letter to the person that owns the building. And I said, I'd like to come home. And they were so generous and so kind that they helped me by giving us a brand new COVID filtration system. You know, they painted all the walls, brand new fresh carpet, and they just polished it.
Right.
So
Sure.
even though it's the same footprint, but that's how it happened. You know, in a lot of other little steps along the way. But basically, it's kind of cool to now own this studio.
Yeah.
Right. And to be able to be in this same footprint. So when I first took over the lease, Tim, in the big main studio, I laid on the linoleum floor and I looked up at the grid and I started crying. And I was like, oh, what did I do? Like,
what did I get myself into?
I signed a big lease. And it was a big, taking. And I said, did I do it because I'm sentimental? Or did I do it because it was a good business decision?
That's a great distinction. Yeah. Great question.
And I had to really think about it because now I already signed the dotted line. It's like too late to go back.
Well, yeah.
For the most, I could. But so I laid there and the tears rolled down my sides of my face. And I said, you know what? It's a little bit of both. And I'm okay about that.
Right.
I'm okay about that. It's okay sometimes to make a sentimental decision and blend it, a personal and a business decision, and kind of have a segue. And that's what it was for me. So I made it both, but then I made it work. Because once I sign my name to something, I will not fail. I don't care what it takes.
Yeah.
I've had $1.97 in the bank through strange purposes, and then I've had $500,000 in the bank.
Right.
Doesn't matter.
Right.
I go forward no matter what. I find a way. Persistent. So that's how I got into this studio.
So it was 1997, so it started 25 years ago.
Correct.
Wow. It's good. And you said something very valuable just then. You said, hey, did I make the decision, a smart business decision, or was it emotional? We're all human beings. And I think that what you want to separate it, we have to look at things objectively. Obviously, as business owners, you can't get into bad deals. But I think Drake Media Studios wouldn't be, obviously, if, the energy, the passion, Donna wasn't here. Then it would just be, okay, it's a studio, it's got capability, so on and so forth. But you draw people in, you drew me in. The timing was great too, COVID, right? I needed a place. Thankfully, you called at the right time. Otherwise, God knows what would happen to the Profit Express. But it's just so interesting how, and there's so many things we could talk about, and it's part of the fun of knowing you as long as I know you, where when you have this energy, and I don't say that in like an airy-fairy kind of way. I'm a big believer that thoughts are things. And as long as I've known you, you're an extremely positive person. And that draws people in, and it helps find opportunity. And that's why you're successful so far. And it ain't easy, right? And that's, again, it's about winning the battle for business. And our mindsets are so important. And I like to think I know I'm a positive person, but I'm a human, and we can all get in those places. We can all get in those mind trash funks. But, and like I said, it doesn't matter when I come to the studios, and I've been here a lot, obviously. You're Donna Drake. And you're like, you're like, you've got the wings on your back, and you've got the wand with the dust. It's great. All right. So it's a massive undertaking. It's the square footage on this facility is what?
3,200 square feet.
Okay, it's a big facility.
It is big.
In a great location, Long Island, Melville, the LIE, Route 110, close to Manhattan, all these different things. So you're laying on the ground, looking up, tears start to roll down your eyes, and you had that momentary like, oh crap, what I
could have had a V8, like ding.
Right. So you're just over a year into it. So far, what has been the biggest lesson from the business perspective?
That I should have told myself that everything's going to be okay. I don't really take time out to.
You move fast.
I move fast.
You do.
Right.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, I'm like lightning in a bottle, out of the bottle. Like I'm just
Right.
Like not frenetic though. Like sometimes people will think that I'm being frenetic, which means that I don't have my thoughts together.
Right.
However, my frenetic energy is because I do have my thoughts together.
Mm-hmm.
It's just implementing them all.
Right.
So I might have 100 things going on at the same time.
Right.
And I'm, it's like a sprinkler, like this, like trying to like sprinkle all the different flowers at the same time. But eventually the whole entire garden grows, right? That's me.
Okay.
So to the outside, to someone that doesn't really know me, they might be like, oh my gosh, she's just like all over the place. She's like, but it works for me.
Right.
It's always worked for me.
Right. That's part.
I'm not
it's
good
who
when I'm
you are.
bored.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am not good when I'm bored.
You're an energy person.
Yeah, give me a million things.
Right.
Maybe one or two things fall through the cracks, but that's okay. I'll pick them back up.
Right.
But that's been my secret to success, or I guess my mission in life is to just do things that way because it's the only way I know how.
Right.
Like sometimes people will say, slow down, or, maybe delegate that to someone else, or this or that. And, delegating to me is a waste of time because then I have to train somebody to do something. They're not going to do it the way that I want it done. I can delegate some things.
Come on, you got to delegate. You know that.
I try.
Yeah.
I've been better at it. I've been better at it.
Right.
But there's certain things that I feel people, for instance, social media. I don't let anybody do my social media post.
Okay.
Years ago, I let somebody try to post for me, try to post some of my motivational tips and things of that nature. But then my audience knows it's not me.
Right.
There must be some
it's
way.
It's a personal touch.
It's got to be something.
Yeah.
There's got to be some way that I write or I put words together or something, because I would get a call and they're like, oh, we're so sorry you had a bad day. I'm like, I had a bad day. I'm like, I don't know what happened. But somebody had posted like one of those canned motivational posters or something. And the people that follow me knew it wasn't my voice. They knew it wasn't me. So I guess authenticity. You asked me like some of the lessons.
Right.
Learn to be authentic. I learned to delegate a little bit better.
You can't fake that, yeah.
No, I learned a lot of lessons. I also learned to take more risks. Like I applied for a PPP loan so I could pay my people.
Sure.
I did it on my own.
Yeah.
That was a risk.
Yeah.
But, anything worth doing is worth doing right. And I stayed up, I researched it, and I did it.
Right.
So I'm not afraid of those things. Although there's one thing I'm afraid of that I have to do this year. I qualify after being in business for 20 years to be a woman-owned business.
Wait, it takes 20 years to qualify?
No, it takes 20 years for me to stop procrastinating and do the paperwork.
I know that didn't make sense.
Business, right? I've owned my business now, Tim, for 20 years.
You never took advantage of that?
And I have not taken advantage of doing the paperwork for some reason. I'm having like a little bit of a, and I need to just push through that. So I'm not perfect. Like I can't sit here and say to you, I'm the perfect business owner, and I've accomplished a lot. And on paper, I look really amazing. But I also have my own tiny little challenges.
Everybody's got some head trash they got.
I know.
Yeah, everybody.
I gotta just do it.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. It's just like I don't know the amount of paperwork or the fact that other people tell you it's a long process, and maybe I don't like long processes because I like the results quickly.
Wait, but so have you started the process though?
Well, 20 years, that's a long process.
No, but I'm talking today. It's 2022. Have you started?
I have downloaded the packet of paper to fill out at least 3 times.
Okay, so you have 3 copies of the same thing.
Yeah.
Did you start filling in any of the boxes?
I will
Come
tell
on,
you,
Donna.
but no. I will tell you though that yesterday when I went with my tax accountant, and she gave me my tax return, I said, "Great," because now I'm going to take that and I'm going to now apply. I said, in business, I don't have all the answers. I have a lot of answers, but sometimes I need a coach.
But you're sharing it here.
I am sharing it
for
here.
the listeners.
I know, on the Profit Express, and that's what you do best.
Yes.
So I need to lean on you now for that. So.
Well, thank you for sharing. Thank you for opening up and being authentic here. Because listen, I've this. Everybody can put their finger on some stupid thing they've procrastinated, that's nagging, and then when it's done, everybody has the same reaction. Why the hell did I wait?
Exactly.
So all right,
I'll take you to lunch when I get that done.
All right, we'll celebrate that.
Thank you.
Okay. And this is the Profit Express today. Is somebody, a very special guest to me and to the show, Donna Drake, the owner of Drake Media Studios, which of course the Profit Express now calls home. and it came at a rather, what would serendipitous be the right word? Serendipitous time. That's a word you like to use, by the way. I like how you use that in a sentence. It came at a great time when the show lost the studio because of COVID, and we landed on our feet thanks to Donna Drake. Now you say, hey, there's lots of things. You have lots of accomplishments, a long career of doing a lot of very exciting things. You're a creative, you're a host, a producer, you have your own show. Out of all those different things, and I'm just reviewing my notes to make sure I didn't miss anything, actor, influencer, what do you like doing the most?
I do love hosting my show because I like being in your seat. I like being the person that
you don't like being in the guest seat.
It's not as comfortable, no. I can feel I'm blushing like right up here in my neck. Like I can feel it's a little warm and a little red.
Right.
So I can tell and I'm excited, a little nervous.
You can't be nervous.
But the part that I like the best is I love when Jacqueline and Rosanna come in the morning and they do my hair and makeup, and then I get to be like the other version of me, like Donna Drake. Like there's Donna, right, and then there's Donna Drake. Right. So when I get to be Donna Drake, I like that because I get to sit in the chair, I get to celebrate others, and that's my it in life. I love that more than anything in the world. I love talking to people. I love learning about them. I like celebrating them so that it helps them build their business.
Right, sure.
And that to me is a great reward, in business. In my life, it's being the mother of 3 amazing children.
Yeah.
In business, that's my it. Just put me in that chair, put the lights on, put a beautiful person in front of me, and I'm good to go. So
when you're sitting in the host chair.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Of all the different roles that I play in life, that's fun for me.
Well, it's a lot. Listen, I'm hosting, the Profit Express, which has been a great blessing to me over these many years. I can appreciate that. It's that different persona. You get to wear the cape kind of thing, So being the host is fun. It's what you enjoy most, the creative and connecting with people, learning people, the relationships, how you help them in their business, which is critical. So now here's something. Why, when you sit in the guest seat, would you be nervous about talking about you?
I'm a little shy. Now people will laugh. They will laugh at that. They will absolutely laugh at that.
How are you shy? Because everybody knows you, number one. We'll say that the local Long Island, New York business community, it'd be hard-pressed not to know you, or certainly know of you.
Right.
You're behind the camera, 13 years.
Okay. I guess I'm a little shy when it comes to talking about me. I don't know if maybe the word's humble. I don't know what the word is, but I'm much more comfortable. Like, I will be in the center of the dance floor and I'll dance, but for me to talk about me, right? Or maybe it's because, I grew up with humble beginnings. I don't know what it is. It's
where are you from? What state? You're
St. Louis, Florissant, Missouri, which means Valley of the Flowers.
Okay.
I don't know what that is about me, Tim, but I'm much more comfortable. Like, I'm an extrovert, but it's actually maybe sometimes covering up for the fact that I'm truly like an introvert. I know that's deep. I know we weren't going to really go deep today.
No. But let's go deep. It's okay.
Good. So, when I think about my growing up, I was always trying to prove something. Remember I said I was like bullied when I was in 2nd grade?
Yeah.
So I think I'm still sometimes trying to prove something to somewhere, somehow, right? And I'm much more confident now than I used to be when I was a kid.
Sure.
But I thought my nose was too big. I didn't like the space between my teeth, or I always feel like I don't always fit in. Like for instance, going back to high school, like when you would get invited to go to the roller rink and people would, I think that the people only invited me to go to the roller rink because they knew my mom could drive us to the roller rink.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah. Okay.
So sometimes I'm not really sure how genuine people are about whether people either love the Drake or they hate the Drake, right?
No, who hates you? Stop.
No,
Get out.
I have a couple people that don't like me. But I think sometimes I'm more comfortable when I'm talking about other people than when I'm talking about myself. I'm a little shy sometimes. That's all. I know that's deep. I don't think I've ever told that story to anybody else, but I mean, I have friends.
Breaking on the Profit Express.
It's a therapy business session. Wait, you know what? It's almost like,
do we have a box of tissues? Are we going to need tissues here? I didn't bring any.
The therapist is in. But that's why you're good with what you do, Tim, is that you do counsel business owners to get out of their own way.
Absolutely.
And that's what you do.
It's the objective third party that I can see that they can't see.
Correct.
Now,
so in spite of all that, I'm actually doing really well. Like in spite of all of my own sometimes insecurities or, shyness, I've done extremely well. Like on paper, I'm like, wow, look, she's like the Greek goddess.
Look at the accomplishment, sure.
Yeah.
So, all right. So, again, it kind of first started second grade, being bullied. Then Mrs. Binger recognized your singing talent, which kind of got things going for you. It's funny, though. I can appreciate where you're coming from because, we're both business owners. We both host shows, right? That's something we very clear that we have in common. And when I started, the Business Healy Success Solutions, I was out there networking. I was like a part-time job. And I have to be, and I've coached people on networking. I coach people. When I first started, it's like, I forced myself because I didn't have a budget to market and all that. I had to. It's like, do that or you're dead. Do that or pack up and you're gone. So that was me. And I wasn't super, I'm not a big crowd guy. I like, lunches with another couple or a one-on-one. That's my speed, right? This to me is easy. You blossom behind the camera as a host. So where am I going with this? My point is this. So you identified being bullied. You identified, being critical of, my nose, my this, my that, right? But you still hold on to it to this day, despite the fact that you're an accomplished professional, an accomplished entrepreneur. Is that a good thing?
Possibly, because it's a story that allows me to keep moving forward.
It's a story.
Mm-hmm. So I did participate like in the Landmark Forum, and I've done all types of transcendental meditation, throughout,
Yeah. So
I am an overtly positive person.
Right.
Sometimes I'm not overtly positive about myself.
Right.
So if I could treat myself as nice as I treat others, maybe now we have the solution on the Profit Express. But I'm comfortable, and I'm confident. But I think sometimes we all need something, a goal to achieve, right?
Yes.
And now my goal is to just get my youngest, through college. Mm-hmm. Because I paid for the tuition for my other two, and I want to help Matthew get to where he's going in life.
Sure.
I don't have many needs in life. My needs are real basic.
Yeah.
Right? They're very basic.
Right.
So it's not like I have to die and be the richest person in the cemetery.
It doesn't help.
It doesn't help me. No, that's not what motivates me. I think just doing nice things for other people motivates me.
Yeah.
I'm more other-centered than... I'm really struggling here because I'm so uncomfortable talking about me.
No, don't worry about it.
But I'm other-centered. I'm an other-centered person, and that's, I guess, is why I do what I do the way I do it.
See, all right. So here, all right, man, we're having some fun here on the Profit Express.
We are having fun.
So, all right, so this really has me thinking now.
Okay.
So I love being the host of my show. You love being the host of your show. What I've gotten from your answers, what I think what makes you a great host is being focused, right? And bringing out, because and we're going to talk about this in a moment, you've had some tremendous celebrities on. You've had some amazing people on. But then you have a lot of ordinary, in a good way, business people, everyday people. Because I've seen the stories of, whether they're local here on the island, there's some incredible stories. But what makes you a great host is that you are other person focused. I think what makes me a great host, now I'm bragging about myself, I'm not as good as you like that. I think you're a much more selfless person than I am. I'm not as good a human being. I try. I'm curious. I bring curiosity to the interview because I want to get out what you have to share, and you're doing a great job of that today. So let's talk about some of your guests.
Okay.
There was a post recently on social of a young gentleman who made it to American Idol. Christian. Mm-hmm. He sang, I forget what song he sang. He says, I'm a local Long Island guy, and you shared it, you forwarded it, so it caught my attention because Donna Drake forwarded it. You found him when?
About 4 or 5 years ago.
4 or 5 years ago.
And that's happened with a lot of people's careers.
Right. Mm-hmm. On the Donna Drake Show first.
Donna Drake Show first, yeah. Like a lot of people, and it's been fun to watch because I've had the show now for 13 to 15 years,
right?
Give or take. But I've interviewed close to 15,000 people.
Oh my God!
And I have gotten the pleasure of watching people's careers just really, extraordinary. Whether the everyday, I call those business owners everyday heroes.
Right. Yeah.
So whether it's my everyday heroes, nonprofit organizations, people that are in the entertainment industry, and they'll come on and they'll perform. Like for instance, Carolina Reel. Carolina called me when she was 14 years old, and then she went on to do. And all these shows are so great, like The Voice and America's Got Talent and American Idol. But yes, a lot of them have come on my show first, right? And then I'll watch her.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's fun. I find joy in that. And I go back and I'll replay, the early interview with them.
Yeah, I saw the picture of him in your studio, however many years ago.
Sweet, right?
Yeah.
He's so sweet.
The clip on American Idol with his mom coming out.
Lovely.
I'm a Long Island guy. You love to hear that, So then, okay, so here's a question I love to ask. So you've had 15,000 guests, which I can't. I've had today's show 515, by the way. So
I'm 515.
515.
Is that me?
That's
I
you.
like that number 515.
Play it today. You never know. Okay. So it's a hard question to ask, but you have to ask it. Not celebrity, not the name that everybody knows, because you've had a lot of huge names. We'll get there.
Right.
We'll have fun with that. Who was a guest that you had on, whether it's nonprofit, whether it's business, who absolutely their story rocked your world and has had you're thinking about them to this day?
Well, I share one, and I should probably share that story maybe too often. So I want to pick a different one.
Okay.
But there was this guy who was like a ballerina, and I asked him what his favorite performance was, and he said the performance where he performed for his dad the night he passed away in the hospital. Ugh. Yeah, that gut wrenching, right? Or Doc Gooden. When Doc Gooden pitched No Hitter and his dad was in the hospital, so I interviewed Doc Gooden about that, and he said his dad was in the hospital, and his dad said, well, I want you to stay there, and I want you to pitch, right? And that was the night his dad died. I mean, those crazy things like that. So those gut-wrenching stories, or sad stories like Andrew McManus, who is passed away. He was a little Boy Scout, and he died from a car accident when a drunk driver hit him, and now they're raising funds. That story is touching to me. Or there's the story of a woman who sold everything that she owned recently, and she has a restaurant called Me and You, and it's named after herself and her daughter, and she's restarting her life, sold everything she owned to open up a restaurant. I mean, it goes on and on and on and on. Like, I interview about 27 guests every single month, and which is
incredible. By the way, is I can't fathom that feat. But go ahead.
And we curate them and we vet them. It's by invitation only. Mm-hmm. Like sometimes people will call us and they'll pitch us and they'll be like, okay, we want to tell our story.
Of course.
For the most part, I truly respect and admire and am honored by every single person that comes on the show. I mean, what a beautiful experience that is. So people will come on our show, and that's the intention, because it started in 2008 when the economy was frozen and people were either committing suicide or there was bad things happening in the world. And I want to do this little show called Live It Up, all about celebrating the essence of life. Because if I knew that if I shined a light on somebody and it was going to give somebody in the audience hope. And the show to this day is still about that. I want people to watch my show.
That hasn't changed.
That has not changed. The mission is exactly the same through every single guest. What are we going to talk about that's going to give hope to the person watching it or listening to it, right? So it's supposed to give somebody hope, because if they can see success through a story that I share and see a little bit of glimmer of hope in their own journey, then it gives them courage to go out and do something. right? So that's the premise of the show. So every guest, no, and I don't do anything cookie cutter, and that's one thing that I admire about you. When somebody has a book and you have an author on the show, you actually read the entire book. I'm so impressed by that. I'm like, whoa. I mean, I'll read the Cliff Notes.
Well, I do one a week, so it's not your...
Yeah, I know, but that's a lot of reading, Tim, and that the dedication and the passion that you have for your guests.
Thank you.
I think that that's awesome. I mean, I'm not dialing it in by any way. I do all my research too, but not to the depth. I don't read the whole book. I read the important essence of it. But all the guests, I love all of the people that I've had on. There's not one single person that I've had on where I'm almost like, shouldn't have had that one on. Like.
Well, you're better than me. I have a couple of those, and I'm like, oh my God, that was a disaster. But hey, not many. I got to be honest. 515, it's maybe a handful.
All right, you're batting okay. You're doing all right.
Yeah. Oh, you can have some fun stories with that. But anyhow, so you talk about, it started in 08 when the idea came to you. It's Live It Up. It's about the essence of life, people's stories. And as much as, listen, we love to talk about celebrities because they've got great stories and great lives. It's so much really the ordinary person that can just blow your doors off. And one thing that I've always been passionate about in business, in doing professionally with Healy Success Solutions or with the show The Profit Express, is what your show does. And it's this, because I know and in life, there are great stories, great books, great paintings, great business ideas that are in the graveside, that never made it. They died on a shelf somewhere. Somebody didn't have the confidence. They didn't have the belief. So when you're highlighting those people and you're touching as many as you can, think about that.
It makes me very happy. It's funny just listening to what you were saying. In a way, I'm like an equalizer.
Mm-hmm.
I bring
now you
out.
got to add that to the bio.
Well, I bring out the everyday person in the celebrity interviews I do.
Yeah.
And I bring out the celebrity in the everyday heroes that I do.
Oh, that's a good one right there. Oh, somebody's got to write that down.
But that's
good.
I think that's what I do.
Yeah.
And I think that's what happens.
A great way to put it.
I find I used to say celebrating the essence of life, but that's the intention of what I do. So when I'm interviewing a celebrity, like I was able to go to Gloria Gaynor's house, which was so much fun, and she offered me Dunkin' Donuts, and I played pool in her basement. Yeah, so I had this every day as if I was like her next door neighbor, right?
Gloria Gaynor, Dunkin' Donuts, and pool.
Yeah, it was awesome.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah, she's great. And so under her disco ball that she has on top of her billiards table.
Oh, she has to, of course. Yeah.
But I think that's what it is. When I'm interviewing a celebrity, I want to capture not the celebrity. I want to capture their humanity.
Well, because everybody knows a celebrity.
Correct.
Right.
And then when I'm interviewing an everyday hero, I want to give them what it feels like to have a celebrityness about them.
Because too many of the ordinary people, like the great entrepreneurs, the local entrepreneurs who are doing great things, they underestimate themselves.
Correct.
They don't give themselves the credit.
Correct. And the public doesn't know them. So I give them that 15 minutes of fame.
Right.
So now the public gets to see your greatness that maybe wasn't so mainstream a day ago.
So we talked about a couple of great stories as your favorite, the ordinary hero, if you will. You spoke about Doc Gooden, Gloria Gaynor. Again, it's one of those impossible questions. The first celebrity that comes to mind that just rocked your world.
Well, just last night I got to interview Ali Stroker. So she's in the wheelchair. She won the Tony for Oklahoma, and she's an Ozark. And just last night on the red carpet, it's the first red carpet that I
just last night
that I've been dating. I mean, I love them. Like I said, Jay Leno, I'm Tony Bennett. I mean, they're all special to me, for every different reason.
Yeah.
But last night, Ali looked so beautiful. She had on like this really cute pink sequin gown, and she was getting a leadership award for ADAPT, which was formerly UCP, United Cerebral Palsy. And just her graciousness on the red carpet was extraordinary because she's all about inspiring others. Here she is, a Broadway sensation, and now she's on Ozark, and she was just cool. I just enjoyed interviewing her. It was fun. So that thing, that's my favorite right now.
I love it. That is great.
So
You know what's funny? So I like to, I do. We talked about shows, right? And I do deep dives with the research that I do, and I do read as much of books as I can. So this is funny because I had questions in mind for you, but not a lot. And what I try to do as a host, and I think you'll appreciate this, is you go into it with a blank slate. And, I wanted, everybody knows Donna Drake, but, and let it come to the surface, So thank you for being authentic and transparent.
You are welcome.
And I didn't think we'd go this deep.
I'm wearing shoes with no socks today. I mean, it's like, go wild. I told you my nails are painted
Listen,
for you.
I'm very impressed here. Your boy, we got to get for the camera. Let's get.
Okay, where's your?
Can we do that?
Your shot?
Is it? There you go. How awesome is that? The Donna Drake, the Profit Express, right here. Fantastic. Cheers. Somebody's listening to the show today, and this is one thing I always like to think about when I'm doing a show. Who I don't know them. I probably never will know them. You don't know them, but they're at a point in life. They're at a crossroads. They have an opportunity. They're like, what do I do? Oh, the economy. Oh, Ukraine. What do I do? Inflation. Oh, what do I do? They have a chance to hear something from you, somebody who needs a boost, a kick. What would you share with somebody right now who's listening?
I once received a call that somebody had watched one of my segments, and they decided not to commit suicide. And I was like, wow, that was very powerful.
I'd say.
And sometimes I'll say something and I don't even know what the thing I say is that inspires someone or what they need to hear in that moment.
Yeah.
But today what's coming up for me is the fact that that it's okay to dream. One of the things I tell people is to write a permission slip to themselves. I, Donna Drake, give myself permission to do blank. And if you write that permission slip, you keep looking at that permission slip, or even some advice too. I was just telling our engineer Ian today and Lorraine, who's our associate producer, I told them that I will go into a battle knowing that I'm going to win. Like I will, I will set a goal for myself, and I will reverse engineer it. So that's another good piece of advice. Like take time to make a vision for yourself, write down that goal on paper, and then reverse engineer it. Just take the baby steps that it takes to get to where it is that you're going. So instead of getting discouraged, instead of feeling like you're a failure, instead of feeling like that you can't do something, you tell yourself, I can do this. I give myself permission to do this. I have already achieved certain things. Like I talk about focus.
Right.
It's my TEDx talk, and I've delivered it many different times, and I customize it for every group. But it's figuring out your consistent, unique strengths. That's what focus stands for, figuring out your consistent, unique strengths. And if somebody wants more detail, they could go look on my TEDx talk, or they could call me or whatever. But I think that's what's most important, is being able to say, okay, these are to take inventory. Take a good inventory of yourself, pat yourself on the back for the things that you have accomplished, and just know if you were able to achieve at least one good thing. Maybe you won a flag decorating contest in second grade, whatever that one good thing was, right? And then you can build upon that.
Right.
Because we've all at this time had some success. Nobody's a complete loser.
Everybody. Right. Success that can't be taken away. It's legitimate.
Correct.
It's yours. You got to own it. Right.
Yeah, you've earned it. You stated it as so. It's documented that you're a winner. Write yourself a permission slip to be a winner again, and then just go for it.
That's powerful.
Thank you.
That is great stuff. People, everybody knows you, but getting in touch with you, where at?
675-309. No, that's a different song. Oh, no,
following you. You've got all those resources out here.
It's Donna Drake TV on Instagram. My Instagram could use a little more love. They could call you. They could follow you.
Don't worry about me. Come on, go
I'm
out.
not hard to find, but yeah. So it's Drake Media Studios. It's Drake Media Network, which is now powered by Binge. So you could find my show and other shows on every single streaming.
That's an exciting new development.
That is
new.
Every single smart device, every television can watch the Drake Media Network with my content, your content, other people's content that I'm greenlighting.
Awesome.
So Drake. There you go. Just find the Drake. That's it.
I have nothing else to add. Well, we could keep going.
Thank you, Tim, for
thank
this
you so much.
opportunity.
No, stop.
No, it was fun. I feel comfortable. I don't really, when people invite me to like either be honored or something with an award, I sometimes decline now, or people invite me to be interviewed. I rarely say yes. This was fun. I had a really good time, and I think
Well, it took me months. There was 4
I know you
calls
did.
I had to make, the
You actually
emails.
haven't invited me like
Lorraine
4 times.
told me no several times. She's like, "Get real, come on," I mean, But
thank you. It was fun.
No, my pleasure. Thank you. Awesome. And this is the Profit Express. And check us out every Wednesday so you can download awesome shows like the one we just had with Donna Drake, of course. And we have to thank the fans and the true supporters of the show, people like you, of course, and Corbett Public Relations, promoting and protecting businesses and brands for over 30 years. Check them out, please, at CorbettPR.com. That's CorbettPR.com. And until next time, you have to do one thing different, one thing additional today that you didn't do yesterday. It's going to help you win the battle for business. It's the Profit Express.